stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline, fade away, yeah! He's way too good! He steps around Lou and drilled it! And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dealt the win. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Radio Show. We are live every Sunday morning right here on your favorite social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got it all here for you. Reminder, you can check us out during the week. Check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. For our Twitter feed, we got great articles up from Mike Nevia as well as others. You want to check them out. All the latest sports news from our Twitter feed as well. We cover it all. No topic too big or too small. Reminder, you can comment during the show. We will see them as well. So if you have an opinion, you want to vent about something, you have a topic you want to see us discuss, drop it right here on our social media channel, however you are following us, and we will talk about it. We will discuss it. We will give you our opinions. So right there, just type away. You don't have to be scared, be whatever. Just drop us a line. We'll discuss it. We want to thank you all for joining us, taking time out of your schedule to be with us. And even if it's after the show, drop it, and we'll talk about it on our next show. As I say, from pro wrestling to football to basketball to hockey, we talk about it all. That's why we are the Sports Skillet Radio Show. This week we got great people with us. I am Jay. I am joined by my brother Jeff over there, and as always, the coach. We are thrilled to have the coach Shane McGowan join us as well. Coach, can you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media channels?
Yeah, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca as well as at mental_edge_performance. How are we doing this weekend, guys?
Oh, we are fired up. We got another great action, another great Sunday of NFL action. Before we get to that, though, some little odds and ends to bring up. We want to congratulate the Navy midshipmen, an annual holiday classic. The Navy defeated Army on Saturday afternoon in a 17-13 win, played at the Meadowlands to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. That's why they played it up in the Meadowlands. Navy ends the season at 4-8, facing 11 bowl-bound teams, which was tops in the nation. Army will go on to play in a bowl game. They finished their season 8-4. So congratulations to the Navy midshipmen on that one. I don't know if you guys want to mention anything about the Army-Navy game, Shane or Jeff?
Just congratulations to Navy on a big win. It was obviously the highlight of their season, beating Army. Not expected, obviously, to win the game. Came out and were able to pitch a shutout in the second half and come back in the game and pull out a win. So congratulations to Navy on what is always, the highlight of their season, which would be beating Army.
Absolutely. So again, congratulations to Navy. And one thing we haven't really talked about in the prior couple of weeks, this might be a little bit up Shane's alley there, but we haven't really got into a lot of hockey talk. The NHL Flyers managed to finally get off.
Jay woke up. Flyers did something. Jay woke up and wants to talk hockey.
Well, there wasn't really a lot to talk about with the Philadelphia Flyers. Finally, they started to wake up a little bit, got off the schneid, and got a couple of wins there. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights, finally getting off the schneid, Shane. I still think they got to blow up the team, though, but it was nice to see the Flyers finally get a win.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. And against a team like Vegas, it's going to give you a little bit more of an uplift, no question there. But again, I mean, they need an overhaul. They need a lot of things that got to get taken care of in that whole house. I mean, they got to clean up. They got to do. They got to look and say, what kind of team do they actually want to be? Because each year you can see teams that are a lot faster, teams that are more physical. You know, they don't have that balance. They really don't. They don't have those players on those lines that can come out and say, we've got the checking line, we got the scoring line, we got a power play group. You know what I mean? They just don't have that right now. And unless they're willing to start spending some money to make some good transactions and some good trades, they're just going to be at the bottom of the barrel for the next few years. And they got to start picking this thing up because, like I said, it's so competitive right now. And there are teams out there with a lot of so-called aging players that are still producing out there. You know what I mean? And these guys, Flyers just kind of either want to go all young and they mess themselves up because they don't have an experience, or they try to go the other route, but the guys that they are picking up just can't produce anymore. So, I mean, they're caught in this middle. But again, it starts with your coaching staff and management and everything like this. But they need to pick it up, or else, like I said, they're going to keep going down the bottom of that barrel.
Yep, and they
Goaltending,
also
Shane. Goaltending.
Oh, goaltending's huge.
You know, you got to start. You got to start in goal. And the Flyers thought they had the goalie. I mean, Carter Hart. They thought that was their future. And you know, boy, what happened? The question is, what happened to Carter Hart? What is really going on in his head? And what is happening there? Because this guy was supposed to be a star, you know, in the league. I mean, he was brought up and a lot of expectation, obviously, and he just hasn't lived up to anything at all. And, you know, that sets the organization back because, you know, like in the NFL, you know, it starts with a quarterback. Well, in hockey, it starts with a goaltender. So,
yeah. And I think what happened is this last little bit, the game got bigger in him. The game got too big. You know what I mean? And he's got to come back down a little bit and realize that it's a game that you love. You play this all the time. But they got to do something in that way. You're right. When it comes to the goaltending, helping out too. You can't let the guy play. And especially if he's not in the right frame of mind and he's in a slump or whatever it is, you got to have that backup. They don't have this. They don't have a lot of things. And when you look around the league, how many goaltenders have been moved at certain times? You know what I mean? Edmonton was going through them like no tomorrow before. They were constantly changing goaltenders almost every year. You know what I mean? And things. So you're going to have to find somebody that can fit that role and play that position. And the guys playing in front of them got to feel confident too. And I think that's where it's lacking. They don't trust Hart, so they're overthinking their positions too on defense and stuff like this. So it's not a good situation, but they need a lot more help in there. And you know, Hart needs a lot more help as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think it's more of the team that's been assembled on the ice rather than, I mean, we saw the Flyers recently fire their head coach, but they still lost a couple of games after that, after the firing of the head coach. Now they've started to kind of turn things around with 2 consecutive wins. They beat Phoenix Saturday night. We saw that, but I think you got to look at the team on the ice, and I think it has to be a total overhaul there. You know, I don't. You know, you can change the coaches, but I think you have to really take a long, hard look at the team that's been assembled on the ice and start moving the pieces there, and start a complete and utter rebuild, because that's where the problem is. You can move coaches around, fire a coach, hire a new one, get a new voice, you know, at the helm of the Flyers. But we've seen them over the past few years start cycling through head coaches and different coaching staffs. And I don't think necessarily that that's the fix for the Philadelphia Flyers. You have to take a long, hard look at the team that's skating each and every night out on the ice And that's where the change needs to come from. Maybe you have to move Claude Giroux and some of the other Scott Lawton and some of the other guys on the ice to affect a positive outcome. You know, I don't know that. I mean, Alan Vigneault may not have been the best head coach for this team. You know, the Flyers' power play is now 4 for 10, good enough for a 40% success rate, which improved since he was let go. You know, but again, you can cycle through all these head coaches, have an interim head coach while you're looking for a more permanent fix. But I think you got to take a long, hard look at the team on the ice and really start affecting major changes there. What do you think, Jeff? Jeff? Oh, we lost Jeff. But yeah, that's what I was saying.
No, yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, there's no question about that and stuff. And you know what? This is what I'm saying is come trade deadline. Are they going to make some moves? Are they on this phone? If you're the GM, if you're that organization, you're on the phone right now trying to get things happening because you need to make moves. You need to do something because this team, this organization is not going to go anywhere. And the fan base and everything like this are going to start to screaming for more heads to be, taken out because of that. And players are going to be disgruntled. I mean, players are playing for contracts right now, but some of them are just kind of saying, I just want to get out of here too. So, I mean, you might get a lot more in-house problems as well too. So I think, like I said, the Flyers need to make some changes. They need to look at the draft in which they can move guys, move assets, and get players and start creating the team and a winning more organization that they're used to. But like I said, playing in the East, you got to play physical, but you got to have some scorers out there right now too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, I think, with the Philadelphia Flyers, Shane, is the fact that they don't really have that identity now that they used to have previously. I mean, the Flyers used to have this big Broad Street Bullies, identity that fans, I mean, maybe they weren't the best team, but they would grind you, they would pound you. I mean,
they were in the game all the time. They were in the fight all the time. You know what I mean? And right now they're not. As soon as it's a one goal lead, they blow it. And then they can't catch up. And they're constantly catching up. So this win against Vegas was huge. No question about that. It allows them a little bit more momentum, feel good about themselves and things too, especially heading into this so-called break that they're going to be getting in the next little while and stuff like that when Christmas and everything. But I mean, they got to start. Like I said, the management needs to take a good hard look at it and say, listen, what direction are we going to go? Because that's all it's going to come down to. So we will see in the next little bit.
Yep, absolutely. We will certainly do that. Jeff may be having some technical difficulties, so we'll hopefully have Jeff back on within the next few minutes. I want to thank Adam Cease and Jeff Schwab for joining us this week. We got a question from each one of those guys. Let's try and answer those guys. Jeff asks us about the MLB Rule 5 draft. And to answer Jeff's question, that MLB Rule 5 draft has taken place. It is over and it is done with. They were able to have that because that dealt with the minor league portion of Major League Baseball. So that's why they were able to have it and go through the Rule 5 draft. It didn't deal with the Major League portion of Major League Baseball. So they were able to hold the draft. And I've got the results up here with the 16th pick in the Rule 5 draft. The Philadelphia Phillies selected right-handed pitcher Matt Seelinger out of the San Francisco Giants organization. If you're with us and you're a Mets fan, the Mets selected Alex Valverde, a right-handed pitcher out of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. Let's see, scrolling down here in the second round. Let's see. The Mets selected Carlos Ocampo, a right-handed pitcher from the Chicago Cubs organization. So that's 2 players the Mets selected. The Phillies didn't select anybody in the second round. The Yankees selected Manny Ramirez, right-handed pitcher out of the Astros organization. Round 3, nobody with the Mets or Phillies there. Round 4, nobody with the Mets or the Phillies there. And round 5, that was about it. So those were the local teams for you. Trying to see. Yankees also in the first round with the 24th pick selected Steven Jennings, right-handed pitcher out of the Pirates organization. The one thing about the Rule 5 draft, as to explain to people, is that teams selecting a Rule 5 player have to keep that player on their major league roster for the duration of the season. Once they do that, so for example, the Philadelphia Phillies selecting Matt Seelinger, the right-handed pitcher, will have to keep him on the roster. There's Jeff. We'll have to keep Matt Seelinger on the roster for the 2023 or 2022 MLB season, whenever that starts up, for the duration of the season, or else offer them back to the other organization at half the money. So the Mets have 2 players, the Phillies 1, right-handed pitcher Matt Seelinger. So Phillies will have to keep Seelinger on their roster for the whole season. Once they do that, they can then option him down to AAA if that's what they want to do, because he'll be a member of the Phillies organization. But they do have to keep him on the major league roster for the season, and then they can put him down. Just to give you a little background, Matt Seelinger is out of Westbury, New York. Birth date is April 19th, 1995. In 2021, he pitched 41 innings, had a 3.07 ERA, 1.51 WHIP. So for his career, he has pitched 166.2 innings, 3.62 ERA, which isn't bad, and a 1.27 WHIP. So that's what you get out of Thomas Seelinger. Jeff, I was just filling a question from Jeff, and so there you going over the Rule 5 draft. Jeff, thanks us for discussing the Rule 5 draft. Yeah, it's a shame about Scott Kingery. He was outrighted to AAA off the Phillies roster this past year because the Phillies had to create some room on their major league roster.
Not a shame. Kingery stinks. Kingery stinks.
Well, he has struggled the past couple of seasons. I will say that. But I got to disagree with Jeff Schwab. He said Kingery got a raw deal with the Phillies. I don't know that he did. The Phillies tried to work with him.
Phillies gave him more than enough opportunities, Jeff Schwab, to go out there and perform, and he failed each and every time he was given an opportunity. So he got what he deserved. I mean, he just couldn't hit. I mean, and if you don't hit, you're not gonna you're gonna have a tough time finding a position. And that's really what happened to Scott. So,
well, I think what Jeff is trying to suggest too is the fact that the Phillies moved him around, moved him off. Second base was a more natural position for Kingery, and they kind of moved him as like a jack of all trades: second base, shortstop, center field, all over the diamond, and that might have affected his hitting a little bit. I will say that he had some bad luck coming down with COVID. And that, I think, affected him a little bit. And I do think that when that the Phillies did alter his swing slightly, wanting him to go to a more uppercut
Oh, come
swing.
on. Stop with the excuses. The guy's
Well,
not
no,
a good
I
hitter.
did-
Stop with the excuses, please. The guy couldn't hit, okay? Stop with this. Stop with the, he had COVID. Wow. Okay, the guy couldn't hit, all right? The guy was barely a 200 hitter, for crying out loud. The guy stinks.
Well, we'll see what happens if he can regain any. He'll be in AAA. We'll see what he can do. See if he can regain any portion of his career. See if he can get back on track in AAA and get back onto the Phillies roster. So there we go with that. Now turning our attention to the NFL action, we got a question from Adam. Who do you guys think will win today's Cowboys versus Washington game? One of the games that may have implications on the NFC East. Washington still has games left with the Philadelphia Eagles, has this game against the Dallas Cowboys. Washington looking to get back into the playoff hunt. Certainly could use this game. A win against the Dallas Cowboys today. Certainly have been doing a bit better as of late. You look at the Washington football team. They've won 4 games in a row. Heineke, the scrappy little quarterback. The defense has been doing well. Washington comes into the game 6-6. 4-1 in their last 5 games. Jeff, what do you think about the Washington football team against those Dallas Cowboys?
Well, they certainly have a lot of momentum. Ron Rivera has done, a remarkable job, obviously, with that team. And he has that team running, kind of on all cylinders at this point, ready and raring to go to face those Cowboys today. This is basically it, for Washington. So we'll see what happens. But I'm interested to see because if Washington loses today, that's basically it for Washington. I mean, the division is basically the Cowboys. So, this is kind of like a must win. Not kind of, it is a must win for the Washington football team. So. We'll see if they can go in and beat the Cowboys. I don't think so. I think the Cowboys will win this game. But look, the Cowboys have not impressed me. Their running game has not been great, and this game, if the Cowboys are going to exert anything, or if the Cowboys are going to prove anything, this is a game where they've got to come out and sort of prove it. Dak Prescott's got to come out and put some points on the board and sort of prove, okay, this is where we stand, as the Dallas Cowboys, and we want to stamp ourselves as the NFC's champions. If he doesn't do this, if he doesn't win today, I'm talking about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, that's going to be they're going to allow Washington to, make a big run at the division title.
That's true. And Shane, the Cowboys head coach has come out this past week. Mike McCarthy came out this past week and pretty much guaranteed a win over those Washington Redskins.
Yeah, that's pretty ballsy.
It is.
And I'm looking at this going, okay, because I heard that throughout the week and everything. And then they're trying to put a spin on it saying, well, which coach wouldn't say, hey, we're coming out here to win and things like that. So the way I look at it is this is, Jeff, you pretty much nailed it when it came to a lot of these things of these games. Washington definitely needs to win this to stay not only within the mix, to also make sure that, look at Dallas, we still want this. And I think the Cowboys are only playing with one running back. Pollard, I don't believe, is going to be playing. Right. So that means Zeke. Zeke is already only sitting at, from what I heard from the Texas people, is only sitting at about 70%. So, I mean, his body's not great either. So that run game is not going to be as huge as everybody wants. And so I think Washington's going to try to capitalize that. And on Washington side, McKissick's out, so Gibson is going to be their lone back. And this guy has produced in these last few games from pass catching to the running. So they're going to rely heavily on him as well, too. And I think it's going to be a good matchup in that way. The only question is going to come down to his ball control. Is that going to make some bad plays, you're right, to overthrow because the pressure's coming from that Washington defense? And on the vice versa, is Heineke going to overthink it too and throw a couple of interceptions? Because those defensive backs in the backfield of Dallas are getting better. They are getting better in many ways. So you got to play smart. I like the way Heineke has been playing lately. I think he's been playing a lot better, a lot smarter football. This team has a lot more confidence in him. He's making plays to everybody. He's not just isolating one guy only. He's giving that ball to everybody, and his team has been giving him enough opportunity to throw the ball too, which is good. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to take Washington on this one myself. I'm going to take Washington on this one. I think that they might be able to pull it. I don't think it's going to be a blowout in any way. It might even be like a crazy 30-31 type of score. Like they just might be going back and forth up there where it's just going to be a field goal that's going to win this thing. But I think Washington has a little bit more momentum right now going for them. And I think Dallas just seemed a little unpredictable when it comes to the run game, as well as being able to get the enough pressure on Heineke as well to cause him some mishaps. In this case, I'm going to take Washington on this one for myself.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Shane. I have not been impressed at all this year by Ezekiel Elliott. He's playing on a knee injury, has been doing that for a while now. We haven't seen the same burst out of Ezekiel Elliott that we've been accustomed to, that you would expect for a running back being paid as much as Ezekiel Elliott is being paid. And they've been getting a lot of their offensive burst from the running game out of Tony Pollard. And for him not to be playing today, and I saw a tweet that we just retweeted out that, again, he's not going to be in today's game. No Tony Pollard today, which I think will put more of the pressure on Ezekiel Elliott, who, like I say, has not been the same running back. And we've seen it. He just hasn't had the burst that we've been accustomed to. And that's going to be key in this game, because that's going to put the ball into the hands of the Dallas Cowboys quarterback and the wide receivers and tight ends to make plays. And we've seen over the past few weeks that the Washington football team has had a good defensive line, has been able to shut down runs. Now the Washington football team's weakness has been kind of in their secondary. So if you want to attack them, that's probably the way to go about it and have some success. But can Dallas throw the ball enough to affect the outcome of the game, or will Ron Rivera and the Washington Redskins find a way to shut down the Washington football team's pass-heavy attack? That's what they're probably going to have to do to have any kind of success. I'm with you guys. I see Washington coming out with a win, with no running game to speak of out of the Dallas Cowboys. I just don't see how they can win. And, that's where I think Washington could kind of take advantage of the Dallas Cowboys.
I just see this game as more of an ugly game. I don't see it being like it's going to be flashy or anything like that. I think it's just going to be an ugly game. There's going to be like touchdowns that are coming from all over the place in some ways. Defense is going to try to be involved. There's no question there, but I just don't think it's going to be like that. Like I said, like a Tampa Buffalo game in that way. I think they're going to just grind this one out, and it's going to come down to possession. Who's going to have possession of that football, especially in that fourth, and maintain it and not give it up on their stupid penalties and everything like that they're going to get. So, like I said, I think Dallas is just playing undisciplined lately too. I think they've taken a lot of bad penalties, a lot of dumb penalties, and it's put them in bad positions. And if they're trying to rely on trying to wear that clock out and run the ball too, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Zeke and them are just too banged up in that way.
Yeah,
I think we're kind of overlooking the defense that the Cowboys, play. I mean, they play
yeah.
now. Again, you can't take a whole lot out of the New Orleans Saints, obviously, game, but they definitely stepped up a little defensively. So turnovers, obviously, I think will play a big part in this game. I think which quarterback can make the least amount of mistakes in this game, whether you're talking, either quarterback, to be quite honest, in this case, can just take care of the ball, play conservatively, and just kind of manage the game. And if they can, the quarterback that can do that will have the most success. And that's why I think in a game like this, when you're talking, these two clubs, I think turnovers could play a big part in this game, obviously. And I agree with you guys. I do like watching how they're playing. There's no question about it. They've got a lot of momentum coming into this game, and being Tom Brady, I think put a lot of wind in their sails. That was a huge, I want to say, momentum building win for that organization to go out and beat Tampa, and they did, and they've had a lot more confidence in their last few games, and that can help them right here against the Cowboys going in, and we'll see what happens in this game. I'm excited to see what either one of these clubs can produce and which team really steps up in this game, because Dallas has an opportunity, like I said, to lock this division down and to say, okay, we're going to stomp on the throat of the Washington football team. We're going to and just say, okay, it's over. We're heading to the playoffs. We're doing this. Or, Washington's going to have more of an opportunity to extend their season and say, okay, we're ready to go.
That's exactly right. And I want to remind everybody, you can comment on our social media sites. If you're watching the show, or even if you're watching it on delay, feel free to drop in your comments and we will get to them. As well, we want to thank Dean for joining us this week as well. Thank you very much, Dean. Another interesting game this week that may have some playoff implications on the line is the Buffalo Bills going into Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. I just have to mention this one. We saw the Buffalo Bills lose to the front-running AFC Eastern, currently AFC Eastern Division first-place team, the New England Patriots, last Monday night, where the Patriots only threw the ball 3 times. You only had 3 passes from the New England Patriots the entire game. Just about unheard of nowadays. In the NFL, only 3 passes the entire game. Unbelievable how much the Patriots ran the ball. But considering the windy conditions in Buffalo during that game, can you blame the Patriots for running the ball that much? But the Patriots only threw the ball 3 times during the game, ended up coming out with the victory over the Buffalo Bills. Patriots improved to 9-4. Buffalo Bills dropped to 7-5. And now the Bills go down to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and those Buccaneers. Shane, how do you see this game shaping up? And if you want to comment on the 3 passes, feel free to do so.
You know what? The Bills suck right now. Put it that way. The Buffalo Bills suck. I mean, they're getting blown out in their own home. They don't have a running back to save their life. Okay, they do not have a running back, especially in those weather conditions. You got to run the ball. It's that simple. But no, they can't even do that. New England comes in and just says, no problem. We'll bring it. We'll bring every running back out here. Just run it down your throats. And that's what they did. Buffalo's defense has been hyped up and overrated, and they're just getting killed every week. All right. So you're relying on Josh Allen. And you don't even hear about Diggs anymore. You know what I mean? Like Diggs is
Yeah.
just becoming passe. You're going into Tampa now. Last time Buffalo, I think, went into Florida, it was Jacksonville, and they won what, 9-6? So they don't do well down there either. So I mean, it's not a good scene for Buffalo in many ways. And you're right. They have those sales have just gone out of the Bills. They really have. New England has now come in. Buffalo went for a sprint instead of realizing this season is supposed to be a marathon, and they're just blowing it. And I just see Tampa taking this one at home, doing what they got to do, working out the little kinks on the defense and things like that. But I just don't see Buffalo going in there and winning. And even though they desperately need it, I don't see that happening. I think Buffalo is finally looked themselves in the mirror and says, yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. We need to figure something out, and it's going to start by next year because right now we blew it.
Jeff, Buffalo Bills pretty much are a finesse team. I guess you could say that after losing to the more physical Patriots last Monday night. Going into Florida, weather's probably going to be a little bit better, which may lead to a better passing attack for the Bills. Do you think they got a shot against Tom Brady and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, they've sort of put themselves in a must-win game against one of the best teams, in the NFL. And no, I don't see a way for them to actually win against Tampa, the kind of mess that they've become. I mean, they just got manhandled by Belichick, and you wonder what the Bills are right now. I mean, you scratch your head because this was a team that's supposed to compete for a conference championship, and here's the team. Boy, have they fallen off. I mean, boy, have they got a number of issues here that they've got to resolve, as Coach pointed out. So it's going to be one of those games. I think that Tom Brady may be having a good laugh on the sideline with Gronk in this game. Kind of. Okay, we'll put up our, 30 points and get out of here. Or like I said, the way Tampa's played, hey, they sometimes they even have to do that. Sometimes, they put up, 17, 20 points, and win the game. I mean, that's kind of the way that the Tampa Bay approaches the game. So, I expect that, look, the Bills are coming in here, they're reeling, and this is the last team the Bills really want to see right now is Tampa.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, I know the Bills have, but the Buccaneers have the most passing yards per game this season. The Bills have allowed the fewest passing yards per game. The Bills have also allowed the fewest passing TDs this season with only 8. But you look at being able to put up points. Like Shane mentioned, the Bills played the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier in the season, and one of those Jacksonville Jaguars wins came against those Buffalo Bills. As Shane pointed out, 9-6 was the final in that game. It was a field goal game, and Jacksonville ended up coming out on top of that, 9-6. Buffalo has had games where they struggled to put up points. Obviously, Monday was one of those games, and you look at it, they don't have much of a running game to speak of. You look at the running backs that they have on their roster: Devin Singletary, Christian Wade, Matt Breida, Tywan Jones. I mean, the running back depth chart on the Buffalo Bills is not great, and they haven't been able to get a whole lot out of their running backs, and that's one of the ways that you might want to attack Tampa Bay. I mean, to attack Tampa Bay, maybe one of the ways you want to attack them is to keep Tom Brady off the field. But if you can't run the ball, what good is that? And when you're predictable and the other team knows that you have to throw the ball in order to move it, you can be creative.
Look what happened, Jay. Look what happened last time. Indianapolis, right? Jonathan Taylor ran all over Buffalo. All over them. Okay? New England runs all over them. You got Leonard Fournette, who just came off of 3 touchdowns himself, and ran over his last weekend. You think that guy's not going to run over Buffalo as well? You know what I mean? Then you got Gronkowski, then you got Evans, then you got Godwin. You know, I mean, you still got all these other players that are good and healthy right now. So like I said, Buffalo is shaking their head going, why do we have this schedule? Because we are in so much trouble. You know what I mean? Buffalo didn't even want to get on the plane to go to Tampa. They were so scared. Okay. I'm just going to bring this out. It's time to get a little hype in this because Buffalo, those guys, they keep crashing through tables as fans. They're hitting their heads on walls because their team is so terrible right now that they're cheering for the Sabres. I mean, like I said, it's just getting bad and bad and bad. It really is. And I'm sorry to say this, but Buffalo fans that are listening in and everything like that, you know we're telling you the truth. You know your team is going down and they keep going down. And right now, like I said, Tom Brady is doing what he does, and he knows how close they're getting to this 17 weeks of the games and everything and where they need to be. And he's making sure they're firing on all cylinders. The defense is the only thing that I'll say on Tampa that's kind of mix matching a little bit with getting healthy and guys coming in and stuff like this. So like I said, this team is functioning. This team is well. And when you're playing at home, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yep. And we know that a couple of...
Shane.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yep, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, you know, speaking of teams that are, you know, in trouble, that we gotta pound on Shane. You know, look, you know, if you're going to pound on Buffalo, you got to pound on your own team, the Raiders, a little bit. They're heading into a game today against Kansas City, and man, you know, you talk about a team right now crashing. You know, here's a team right now going up against. By the way, here's Kansas City right back on top of the AFC right now, right back near the top again. Surprise, surprise.
Yep, no question. Hey, I've said from the beginning of the season, my Raiders will come out and do great, but I'm also realistic and realize that they are going to crash, all right? This is just how it is right now. And I'm not going to make excuses. Yeah, this is the only team that has gone through a fired coach, players being disgruntled, players being cut, players being arrested, everything like this, like absolutely tragic in this organization, and still going out there to try to compete and injuries.
Typical Raiders.
You know what I mean?
Typical
exactly.
Raiders.
Right? But still, you know what? On that team, they have talent. They do have talent. There's no question about it. They just can't get it all together for a season to make a big run. You know what I mean? And that's what I said. So they come out hot. There's no question about it. Kansas City is a good thing of when they blew it, which was early in the season, because now they're clicking like they normally do. You know what I mean? There's no question about that. And even the Chargers are looking, they're going, oh boy, like we're in a little bit of trouble as well. We need to get back on a winning streak too. So like I said, you know, there's so much, and I'll say this right now, I'm talking this week with NFL insiders and everything like that.
Right.
There's a lot of talk about how next season the quarterback carousel is going to happen. And Derek Carr's name has been brought up a few times on certain things too. Yep. New people, new faces. Same with the Eagles. Eagles being brought up on many things when it comes to the quarterback. And the name that keeps coming up there is that Deshaun Watson guy. You know what I mean? There's a lot of talk of how things are going to transpire. And don't be surprised if some of these teams, you're going to see fresh face in there leading it and running it, because that's kind of what's needed. And I'm not saying Carr is a bad quarterback. The guy's leading in how many categories right now in certain things. He's just in a situation with organization, with the players, as well as, unfortunately, with a coaching, you know, play calling scenario there that just isn't working for him right now too. And like I said, I mean, there's going to be some interesting changes coming. And if you put it all out there and said, I could see that happening. I could see say a Derek Carr possibly going to Green Bay. You know what I mean? Because Aaron is out of there and going somewhere else. You know, Ben Roethlisberger's gone. Pittsburgh's got a quarterback. Yeah. You guys are going to be, I think, looking for somebody that might be coming there too in Philly land. So there's a lot of things that are going to transpire. So I think right now, some of these teams are saying, do our best to make it to where we can, but let's look at, you know, what we have to do next season and everything there. really, I could see that happening with my Raiders, in which they upload and get rid of Derek at the end of the season, especially depending on what's been going down right now.
Yeah, and you lead into the.
I think it's going to be. I agree with Shane.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, Shane was.
I was just going to say.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, I agree with Shane that there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks, moving around. I mean, the one team that, I look at that probably, is one of the teams that's locked into a quarterback that probably doesn't know what they're doing right now is San Francisco. I mean, here's a team right now that doesn't know, that obviously, Garoppolo is not working out, and they drafted the quarterback number 2. Okay, fine. So we're locked into that quarterback. But what is that quarterback? I mean, really? And did the 49ers blow it? I mean, did the 49ers hand New England a gem of a quarterback? That's really the question. Will that haunt the 49ers going forward? Is handing the New England Patriots the better quarterback? And, look, I haven't said that that regime out in San Francisco hasn't done a bang up job with the draft, hasn't drafted well, and so forth. They've done a remarkable job. But this is gonna, this could stick with the 49ers, no question. If this quarterback doesn't work out, so that's going to be the question that we have to see right now with San Francisco. But I agree with Shane totally that you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks shifting around on that carousel.
Well, not only that, but maybe some head coaches as well. Their team, Tom Pelissero, we tweeted out this article, reminder to check out sportsskilletradio.com for a lot of sports news and show updates and stuff like that. Sportsskilletradio.com. We tweeted out the article from Tom Pelissero earlier in this week about the tension surrounding Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer and the fact that he may wind up getting replaced after only 1 year at the helm of the Jaguars. You see things starting to unravel there. Some of the things that have come to pass over the past weeks and months since he's become head coach, receiver Marvin Jones, one of the locker room's most respected and mild-mannered veterans, became so angry with Meyer's public and private criticism of the receivers group that he left the facility until other staff members had to convince him to come back after a heated argument with Meyer during a practice. And this is unbelievable. During a staff meeting, Meyer delivered a biting message that he's a winner, the other assistant coaches are losers, and challenged each coach individually to explain when they've ever won and forcing them to defend their resumes. Unbelievable that he would do that. He had
he's going to be gone. Look at, he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I think right now he's looking and saying, I should have jumped on one of those college opportunities when they were throwing out there these college openings, because my job is gone. You know what I mean? From his antics of being unprofessional and everything like that, to the fact that he's lost a locker room so many weeks ago. You know what I mean? And he is not. The problem is this, and everybody kind of forgets about that, is when you've been coaching college to come to the NFL, college kids have no choice but to listen to you. And your coaches also have to listen to you. Yeah. They don't have that opportunity to voice their own opinion in so many things, or else they just don't play. They don't get drafted in the highest degree that they should be and everything like that. You're now trying to take your college attitude to the NFL, and the NFL players are saying, hey, dude, I make $17 million a year. You think I'm going to listen to you? Okay? It doesn't work like that. I know my position. I know how to play. I know what I got to do, right? It's that simple. This is why there has to be a balance. And everybody forgets on why they say, why doesn't this college coach go there? Why doesn't it? Because he's got it so easy right now, collecting $70 million in college, and knows the role that has to be get to the conference titles, Players come in there that want to play for him at 5 o'clock in the morning and train and things because they're regiment. They understand this is what we have to do. This is the difference between moving from college to the pros as players and as coaches. And this is why I'm saying, as a college coach coming in like Myers, he sucks. All right. He doesn't understand it, and he doesn't believe that this is the way and you have to be like this. He doesn't go that. And this is why he won't be successful. And I guarantee you, he's going to find himself back in a college position real fast. And that's where he has to stay and belong. It's that simple.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Jeff?
I agree with Dean. I agree with Dean's comment here that he's looking for a fall guy. I think that's part of it. I think, you're looking at a coach and, he's out there saying, who's in this room? Who can I blame this on? I mean, you have to look yourself in the mirror at some point. I mean, the guy, the problem is the guy in the mirror. That's really the problem. And that's look, he got in over his head. There are job openings right now that I think he would have loved to have had staying in college, but he decided to make the jump. And like a lot of college coaches, there are very few college coaches are able to make that leap. Not many are Jimmy Johnson. Not many are able to make that leap and be able to translate from college to the NFL. It's a much different beast altogether, as Shane has pointed out. So, with all that taken into account, look, the Jaguars is trying to build something. They're trying to build an organization. They're trying to build around their young quarterback, and you've got to start putting the pieces in place. And you got to have the right coach to get the job done. And the Jaguars, to me, really failed here going out and getting Meyer.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can't do the things that Urban Meyer's doing on a professional level and hope to retain your job. I know Shad Khan is one of the most patient owners in the NFL and tries to overlook missteps, especially some of the ones that Urban Meyer has done this past year. But eventually the tension gets so high within that organization that you may not want to do it. I know Urban Meyer has been that great white whale that Shad Khan has chased over the years and finally was able to land him. But it has been a colossal failure in my mind with what Urban Meyer has done with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And listen, the Jaguars may have their franchise quarterback, so it would be an extremely good job for potential head coaches to get. And this is a good year to go out and hire an assistant to hire an assistant head coach, because there's some good assistants that may be on the market this year that you can pluck from another organization, some good offensive coordinators to bring in. So this may be a good year to move on from Urban Meyer. Yes, you're going to have to pay him a ton of money once you get rid of him, but you have a good batch of assistant coaches to kind of choose from. And I think Shad Khan would probably be a good idea to move on from Urban Meyer at the conclusion of the season. Is there other head coaches that you think right now are on the hot seat, Jeff? Jeff can't hear you.
There are some teams that are bad and awful right now, but I just don't right now, know exactly. I mean, there are still teams kind of evaluating, even though we're in December at this point. I think there are some teams that are still evaluating whether or not they want to pull the trigger and move on from their head coach at this point. We'll just have to see exactly, what teams decide to actually pull the trigger and move on, because there are some. But see, here's the thing: the league is what it is right now. There are a lot of teams that are, in contention for the playoffs right now that are still there. So you still have a lot of teams that could obviously get into the playoffs, especially in the NFC. So so you really can't project right now, what teams are going to pull the trigger at this point, because there are there's still there are still things to be worked out here as far as playoff positioning.
Matt Nagy, do you think he's on the hot seat? Bears are 4-8, 1-4 in their last 5. Could Matt Nagy be on the hot seat?
Hey, Nagy's on the hot seat every year. And whether they winning or losing, I mean, that's Chicago, right?
Yeah.
You gotta win every night. You gotta be competitive every game, and you basically can't have that quarterback carousel either. I mean, they want Fields out there, then they don't want him out there, then they want this guy. Like I said, they're a mess as it is. So Nagy kind of lost a little bit of control in that organization, I think, early with things, and it's unfortunate. But for the Jacksonville, I mean, I still think they're gonna start picking guys, and you're gonna start looking and saying that some of these coordinators from Tampa Bay, offense, defense coordinators, you're gonna look at Kansas City's offense coordinators, what I mean, and everything like this.
Eric Bieniemy, please.
Yep. You're also going to see a guy like Jason Garrett get back into the mix too somehow. You know what I mean? Being a former coach and everything there too. Even, you never know. Maybe even Dan Quinn, depending how far Cowboys go. Like I said, there's a lot of things where you've got head coaches now that are assistant coaches that could possibly be back in that mix too. And you're right. I mean, right now we're still kind of early on some coach changes, but Chicago's always one that I think. Detroit, I think, may hold on one more year. Detroit might hold on one more year with their guy just to see if they can redo something. But after that, I think he might be Campbell might be gone after that. But we'll see.
How about Joe Judge? How about the Judge out in New York? How about Judge?
Judge should have been gone. Judge should have been gone long ago. You know what I mean? And things. But that New York organization does the same thing. They just, we'll get rid of everybody else first. Then we'll come and get to you. And look, they got to draft. They got to do a lot better up front too. Like it's almost got to be upstairs as well than just on that field too. So they're in a bit of a pickle, I think, in many ways as well too. And I don't know. I mean, even your Eagles can look at themselves too in the mirror and say, "Geez, we got to do some changes here as well." Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's got to happen. And my Raiders need a head coach. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're everybody's up in the air right now.
Yeah, very true. And there is a Super Bowl winning head coach that's on the free agent market that a team could bring in. And I'm talking Doug Peterson, sitting out there, biding his time, waiting for the right opportunity to get back into it.
Not with my Raiders. Don't come to my Raiders. Look, maybe he'll come back to the Eagles. Who knows?
Please.
Right?
Yeah, I'm thinking more with the Jacksonville Jaguars maybe for Doug Peterson. Being
but he couldn't groom. He couldn't groom Jalen Hurts.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know whether he was in favor of Jalen or.
But then Carson Wentz is also saying, you know what? He's not a good coach. He's not a good quarterback coach. So now Carson Wentz is off doing his thing. So like I said, all that stuff filters from teams to teams. That's the unfortunate part. You know what I mean? And everything too. So your best buddy or not, you're now looking and saying, hey, listen, if I'm going to spend the money, I'm grabbing one of those guys that just got himself or keeps going to the damn Super Bowl that's playing for the damn Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I'm going to start looking at.
There you go. And Andy Reid has a good head coaching tree.
He does.
He really does. So that's not a bad tree to pick some fruit from. No question about it. So getting back into this week's games, Eagles are on a bye week, but we saw the Eagles offense operate pretty proficiently, especially in the passing game last Sunday.
It only took them 14 weeks, Jay.
With Gardner Minshew on there, the offense operated really well, but
14 weeks with a backup quarterback.
Jay, it's also backup, but it's the Jets. It's the JTS, Jets. That doesn't qualify.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, okay, you beat the Jets. Congratulations.
Yeah, as I said, I've been more concerned about the Eagles' defense than I am about the Eagles' offense. I think Gardner Minshew, once Eagles return to action next week, I think Gardner Minshew has to go back on the bench, and you have to see what you got in Jalen Hurts for the rest of the season. Win, lose, good, bad, or otherwise, this has been a season that you evaluate Nick Sirianni as a head coach and Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. So you have to get as much information as you possibly can about those two guys. So as good as Gardner Minshew did last week, like you said, Jeff, it was against the Jets. I have more concerns about the Eagles' defense than I do about their offense. I didn't like watching the Jets march up and down the field at the beginning of the game and score touchdowns. Again, that screamed to me that the Eagles defense did not have a good game plan, and we've seen that a lot this year with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I got to go back to Jalen Hurts next week once the Eagles return to action.
Oh, yeah, go back to Jalen Hurts. Do what you want to do. Here's the thing. You need the Dallas Cowboys to win this week because I'm telling you, you got 2 games against the Washington football team coming up here. And you're going to be getting night sweats coming up here if Washington wins because Washington's coming for Philly. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
They're coming for Philly. They got 2 games left here, and they're coming for you. And I'm telling you that, it's not going to be the same as playing the New York Jets. I'm telling you that right now. So I'm going to say this right now. You better root for the Dallas Cowboys here today to beat Washington here today.
Yep. And we also have an interesting battle over there in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens are taking on the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore comes in at 8-4. Cleveland at 6-6. Who knows about the Cleveland Browns quarterback? Is he playing for his job in this one? How do you see this one going down, Jeff?
Who knows? I don't know what Baker Mayfield is. I mean, right now, I don't know what the Browns are at this point. I look at Baltimore right now. They've had a few scratch your head kind of games right around here. So, it's the AFC. I mean, that's what you could say right now. I mean, look, Pittsburgh, almost came back in that game. And pulled off one of the biggest, comebacks in NFL history. On Thursday night. So, you just don't know. I mean, about the AFC is kind of crazy this year, except for the fact that it just seems like Belichick is back on top. So everything's the world is back on kilter again. Belichick on top, but otherwise, you look at all these other teams, you throw them into a hat. I mean, you really could. Baltimore, all these other teams, because they all have kind of they all have their warts and they all have their advantages that they can go to in these games. What do I think of this game in particular? I don't like Cleveland. I think this is a game where Baltimore has to come out and put their foot down and stomp on them a little bit. That's what I think they need to do, and stomp on Cleveland a little bit here.
Yeah. Ravens are reeling. They've lost cornerback Marlon Humphrey chain for the season. Lamar Jackson hasn't played his best and too much. He's struggling against the blitz. What do you think about this game, Shane?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, both quarterbacks are all over the place. As of late, Lamar's been making some bad decisions, and you can see that happening too. Andrews didn't catch that one ball for the end zone to get that game winning that they needed. Baker's banged up and hurt. You got your 2-headed running backs haven't been the same for Cleveland either lately because they've been in either COVID or injuries and everything like that. So they haven't gotten themselves on the right page. Jarvis Landry is still passe. Like, I mean, you barely hear about him. And now you're down to one tight end for Cleveland as well this week with only Hooper because everybody else is in COVID protocol, right? So, like I said, and defense has been playing okay, but they're still struggling themselves. So, I mean, Lamar's either going to say, that's it, I got to take the ball and run it by myself. Doesn't matter how many yards I get and how banged up I get to win this game. and Baker's just trying to make throws, which he can't seem to be doing right now. You know what I mean? So it's a battered up situation, and I think it's going to come down to a field goal naturally too in this game. It's not going to be some blowout. It's going to come down to that nail biter, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it will be a close one. Cleveland is healthy. I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one just because Baltimore has been struggling mightily. Cleveland is coming in as healthy as they've been probably all season. And Baker Mayfield has to prove something in this one. He's going to be looking for a new contract, and he's got to show Cleveland and the front office and the coaching staff and the fans why they need to put their faith in him. And I think with all that pressure on him, I think he's going to come through, and Cleveland's going to come away with a win in this one. We also have a pretty good Monday, what may be a pretty good Monday night game. The Arizona Cardinals are taking on the LA Rams from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Cardinals come in at 10-2. Rams come in at 8-4. Jeff, how do you see this one breaking down? It's your division out there.
This is a game which the Rams have got to come out and prove what they are. The veteran, they've traded for a lot of these veteran players. They put a lot of these players on the team. This is a game where they've got to come out and they've got to prove who they are. As we're saying, this will be a statement win for the Rams. For Arizona, I mean, they're trying to keep pace, right? They're trying to keep pace with that other two-headed monster out there in Tampa Bay and Green Bay. I mean, they're trying to, they're trying to stay on top there for that bye in the NFC. So, look, I think Arizona right now, they're on a great run. I mean, the quarterback is playing well. They've gotten good play out of their defense. I'm just not sold on these Rams. I think the Rams really have underperformed in a big way in terms of what they have. The talent that they have on that team, has not come out. And this is a game which, if the Rams are going to prove anything, this is a game which they can prove it, and going out there and beating Arizona.
And now they don't have their running back because he's in COVID protocol too.
Yep.
So
exactly.
now you're going to rely on Sonny Michel, right? Yep. As a lead tailback who isn't able to do a lot of things. That's for sure when it comes to being a power back out there. And, you're still trying to get Odell back into the swing of certain things. And the defense is not playing well at all. The front four, Darren Arnold is just not doing what he needs to do anymore because he's by himself. He's like on an island by himself. You know what I mean? So teams are picking them apart. They are falling apart in many, many ways. And McVay needs to look at this and figure something out fast. But us on that defensive side, though, they need to figure it out fast because they're getting run on, they're getting scored on, and it's coming at opportune times for them. And I think it's becoming more frustrating. I like Stafford. I think Stafford's was great for them, and I think he's done so many good things thus far. But I think somehow McVay implements different certain key points in that playbook, and it's just not working because that O-line is just not getting Stafford that protection they need. So, like I said, they've been off. I think the Woods injury has really hampered them in many ways too, and I think that's going to be the key as they move forward. But you're right. It's a dog fight right now. And Arizona is that low-key team that just keeps winning very, very quietly. They just win very quietly, and they don't care because they're still number one.
Yep, exactly. And like you guys brought up, Arizona is looking for a win. They are currently 10-2, a little ahead of Tampa Bay, who's 9-3. Arizona comes in 3-2 in their last 5, winners of 2 straight. I look at this one like Jeff brought up. I think it's a prove-it game for the LA Rams. They went into this season giving up draft picks like crazy to acquire players and to have a very top-heavy roster. Like they went into the season, we're going to go for it. We're going to give away future draft picks like water and get the best players that we can possibly get. They went out. They signed Odell Beckham Jr. Recently to enhance the wide receiver position. And if they don't win and get to the Super Bowl, at least get to the Super Bowl this year, you got to figure that it's a lost season for the LA Rams.
Oh,
And
you know it. And I mean, like I said, the Rams did what the Lakers did. They went out to try to buy a championship team.
Yep.
That's it. That's all it came down to. The Rams have decided that they're giving up every draft pick, everything they need to go buy themselves a championship team, and it's not working thus far. And especially when you guys are banged up, injured, and you can't get on the same page and everything like that. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting, but they need to win. They need this win bad. They really do.
Oh, absolutely. But I do like the Arizona Cardinals in this game. Guys, let's go around the league. Let's get your 3 top picks of the week in there. Who do you guys like this week? Jeff, I'll start with you.
I'm going to take the Titans over the Jags. That's 8.5. I'm going to go with that pick. I'm going to take the Titans in this game. Then I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Giants. I think that's a pretty safe pick right there. And I'm going to take Mr. Pinky Toe out there in Green Bay. You know, Mr. Toe out there. And take the Packers over the Bears. I think, broken toe or not, you can go out there and beat the Bears. So, I've never seen any toe more analyzed than Aaron Rodgers' toe. But, okay. And it was nice of him to show the toe on television, by the way. That was a nice, a nice thing as well. So, he's having fun. I think Aaron Rodgers is having fun this year. I really do. I think, look, he knows this is a swan song out there in Green Bay, so he's just out there, knowing, okay, here I am, and he's just waiting to have another battle with Tom Brady, in the playoffs. Yeah. That's what he's waiting for right now.
Yep. And who do you like, Shane?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm taking Green Bay on this one too. You're playing in Green Bay against the Bears. The Bears are still so unpredictable when it comes to that quarterback. I heard Fields is playing, but who knows? I'm going to take the Seahawks over Houston. Yeah. I think Russ finally is going to have a game, you know what I mean, and stuff, and Metcalf himself too. But the one I'm kind of questioning, and I'm going to take the Broncos over Detroit. Detroit scares me a little bit because they seem to pull it out right at the end. But I think that Denver is going to be able to do it in Denver. That's why. So they're playing outside. I don't think Goff likes that cold weather either. So I mean that might help a bit. But I'm going to take the Broncos on that one.
Gotcha. As for my 3 top picks of the week, I like you guys said, I like the Seattle Seahawks over the Houston Texans. I'm also going to go with Washington over Dallas. I like that one. And I like the LA Chargers over the New York Giants. A little bit of turmoil with the New York Giants as far as their starting quarterback goes. They didn't really know who was going to be their quarterback.
It's the water boy. It's the water boy that's starting. Yeah.
Exactly. They're on their backup quarterback. They didn't know until late in the week if their starting quarterback, Glennon, was going to pass concussion protocol. He will start, but a lot of upheaval at the starting quarterback position for the New York Giants, which is actually crazy because you want to get an evaluation on Danny Dimes, and unfortunately, he's out with a neck injury. No timetable on his return as of yet, so you can't really get an evaluation on him. So that puts everything up in the air as far as the New York Giants goes. So I do like the LA Chargers in this one. Jeff, I'll throw it out to you and Shane. Anything that you guys want to discuss that we haven't brought up yet?
I just want to give a shout out to Rutgers, on their big win over Purdue. What a big win that was. It beat the number one team out there, unranked, obviously, as Rutgers was, 70-68. Big win for the local team here in New Jersey, coming out and winning that kind of game. Statement win for the program, obviously. It's always fun when you can go out there, even at this time of the year, before Christmas. You have all the college basketball tournaments going on, Christmas tournaments.
Yep.
But nice to see Rutgers come out and get a big win there over Purdue. And look, I mean, we all know that Duke is going to be up there at some point, and so forth and so on. But it was great to see. It's just great to see Rutgers get that kind of win for their program.
Definitely, Shane. I'll leave it up to you. Anything that you want to bring up that we haven't talked about yet? And can you let everybody know once again how they can find you on your social media accounts?
Yeah, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca or mental_performance_edge. The one thing I'm going to bring up is just the quick Heisman Trophy, right?
Oh, yes.
So we just had that and everything like this, the top guys, Bryce Young winning it, for Alabama. So another Alabama boy gets that one as it was last year too, and things. Do you think though, that it was worth it for him? Do you think that just up this stock? Do you think it's going to, or is he still going to fall when it comes to the draft? That's something that I think everyone's going to look at in some ways too, because when you look at his last, and I'm talking just the last few games, his inconsistency at certain times has been a little bit up and down, right? You know what I mean? And everything like this. So how do you fare his draft when it's going to be his time and stuff? Do you think it's going to affect him? Do you think that they're going to take a chance on him just because you win that award? Doesn't necessarily mean you are that solid pick, as we've seen, especially when a guy like Belichick takes a guy, you know what I mean, and everything like this, or other teams have taken players that, have been in the mix but haven't won that trophy, that have sort of surpassed it. So I'm kind of questioning about how Bryce Young, when he pulls out to go into the draft, of how he's going to be actually being able to play in the NFL. Just because you won this award and everything like that, it still might be tough.
I agree with you, Shane. I think this, the Heisman isn't what it was, 15, 20 years ago. When you look at the players and you look at, Marcus Allen and some of these guys that, won the award in the past, and what they brought to the table. I mean, this is not a quarterback's draft. I mean, we've talked about this, kind of the last several weeks. This is not a draft that favors quarterbacks by any means. I think all the quarterbacks that come out, they all have those inconsistencies that you pointed to. So I don't think this really helps them in a big way. I think teams are still going to evaluate them for what they see with their eyes and what they see on the field. We'll see how he does in the playoff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, obviously, in the playoff. He's the he'll be the number one seed, obviously. So we'll see how he plays, and we'll see how he does. See if he can win a national championship. That will help him if he goes out there and he does that. That will help his stock. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. So, like I said, we'll see how this all pans out in the end and everything like that. But no, it's been a great show, gentlemen. Always appreciative.
Absolutely, Shane. Love having you on each and every week. Just to give you my comments on it, I think it's a nice thing to have on his resume. Anything that you can boost yourself up slightly ahead of somebody else is always nice. But as Jeff said, this is not considered to be a really strong quarterback's draft. But as we've seen before, teams that need a franchise quarterback always overdraft. So we'll see how the draft kind of pans out, because teams always overreach, especially when they need a franchise quarterback. But for a head coach and a GM to put their jobs on the line, which is essentially what ends up happening in these NFL drafts, for one of these quarterbacks coming out in 2022 is going to be really tough. So we'll see what ends up happening. But like Jeff said, I think it'll come down to how he plays in the bowl game. and how he does in the college football playoffs. That will be the real tell. I really do think that, Shane.
Perfect.
So we want to thank you all for joining us. Again, drop your comments in there. We will get to them all. Anything you want to hear us discuss during the show, feel free. If you're hearing a rebroadcast of the show, drop your comments here. We'll talk about them next week. If you want to hear us talk about something during our show, feel free to leave us a comment. We will get to it. Thank you all. Remember to check out sportsskilletradio.com. Check out the Heat Ratio. Great things happening there as well. We want to thank them for hosting us as well. Check out Shane's websites as well. A lot of good things going on there. And Shane, we will talk to you again next week.
Take care, boss.
Take care, guys. Have a great week, everybody.